Okay, this is KB3DFZ. I just recently put together my most recent Go box. This one is based around a Yaesu FT857D. This radio does pretty much all the HF bands, including 10 meter, 6 meter, and it also does VHF and UHF, 2 meters and 440 megahertz. Let me pick this up. Every time I've moved this for the camera, because I don't have a hook, I've actually ended up catching the microphone. But I will start off with the back. The back here, we'll start down at the bottom, because that's always the best way to go. We have a 30 amp power supply that can plug into, I put an outlet inside. It's a GFCI outlet connected to a 25-foot extension cord. I do need to get some little Velcro straps to tie that bundle in. And I've been thinking that 25 foot is just way too long, and I should drop that down to something that would take up a less room. The battery is basically a 7 amp hour LifePo 4 battery. And I'm going to jump up above everything. And up here, with the label peeling off, unfortunately, is a 30 amp hour solar charge controller. I can basically, if I'm plugged in at the desk, my power supply will be plugged in and feeding the charge controller, which will keep the battery floated, and also that has a separate output for the load. So it's designed, this one is specifically designed for LifePo 4, so it should be fine to charge that, and I may increase my battery size at some point. Then the radio, let me flip this back around. So if I didn't say it already, one of my goals here was to make something that can sit on my desk most of the time and then be carried to go when I'm ready. The output of the power supply is here, and then this is the input to, and I'm planning to put labels on all of these so that it's never confusion. The input, this is the input to the charge controller. The battery is connected directly to the charge controller on its own line. And this bottom here that says input, that's the output of the charge controller for the load. And then the one above that connects up to the radio. And I have 2 more ports available for, I plan to have a 12 volt to 5 volt USB, and that would give me 1 spare port. I will say that this MFJ, this MFJ distribution block, I was a little bit disappointed. These power poles seem a bit loose, like they're not connected together. I may end up taking it apart, unsoldering the power poles, and then putting them back into place. I'm not too happy. The fuses are interchangeable. If you have it running and a breaks, that lights up to let you know, but it doesn't, it's not as useful, because if like the device was turned off, alright, let me turn it off here. Oh, it did do it. If I break the circuit, well, if there's no load, well, I'll be darned. Okay, it's doing it. If there's no load, like this one, you have no clue that it's broken. So if your device isn't working, you still don't know if it's the breaker or not. So you have to go back to manual. But that is kind of a neat feature. Alright, the radio, like I said, FT857D, and then I have an LDG tuner that connects to it automatically, and you can just press the button to tune up. It's already been tuned, so it has a memory, and that's all it does. But this here is the cable from the SignaLink. I can replace the microphone with it. I do have on order for a while now a cable that will plug into the back of the radio. But it's still on back order. Yeah. Radio itself seems to work pretty well. It is currently connected to an alpha antenna. That antenna bag is, when it's all folded down, is 16 inches across. It'll fit into there. This tool bag, it's a 12-inch tool bag. My plan is it will hold the manual. I've already had these in there. I have a folding solar panel that can easily fit in there, and I have a Asus Transformer tablet. It's a little miniature laptop with a keyboard and stuff, and it runs off 5-volt USB. It fits in there nicely. I can put all three in there, tuck it up in there. These are not currently bolted down. I'm still rethinking them. But I could actually put that bag in there, and then if I turn this, actually, if I was transporting it, I would actually probably take this off and put it in the bag. But this entire mount does nicely, it's just a single screw, and I can adjust it any particular direction I want. I can go up high, low. I can put it all completely inside. It's just, that's a RAM mount makes that. Those are 1-inch holes, and then the other one, I forget who makes the actual part that connects to the radio, but I had to get an adapter it's called a T connector on the back of this. I had to get a special adapter with the 1-inch ball. The other ones are a little bit smaller, but that's called a T connector on the back that holds the radio. And it's basically a double swivel, so it makes it very nice to adjust it however you see fit without a lot of work. And then that's about the bulk of it. There's the SignaLink USB. It's not plugged in, or it's not powered on because it's not connected to a computer. But the wire for it comes up through there and is sitting there. And once I get some Velcro straps that can be coiled up, I plan to put a microphone hook somewhere up here, and I'll probably have a hook just for that wire, that USB cable. Most of my operation is usually going to be digital. In fact, running off a battery. When I do that, I'll have to turn the power down. It can do 100 watts off the battery, but not for long. I mean, this radio, even though you think 12 volts and 100 watts, it's, that's only like 8 amps or so. It really, it takes about 8-9 amps. It takes about 22 amps to actually run this radio. It is a little bit of a power hog, unlike its little brother, the 817. Okay, and just to also show off this alpha antenna, let me back up. Boop, 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 boop. It is a 14-foot whip. It collapses down each segment with a shock cord in the middle, and you have this matching coil. I believe if I read the manual for, like, say 10 meters, and some bands you don't need the coil, others you do, and then there's a ground wire. Again, for the higher bands you would not need the ground wire, but for the lower bands you would need it. And they do sell additional radials. You put those radials on, you'll get even better resonance, or even better output. And the clamp is a very nice design. You can clamp it onto a table, onto a pole, and you can rotate it. I keep the tools for that, and also the nuts. I keep the wrench for that in the bag with the antenna bag. And that pretty much sums up the new box. It works out pretty well. It's a good size, and I think I'll have it for a good while. KB3 DFZ. Alright, KB3 DFZ again. I just wanted to add a little follow-up here, show you. Here's the alpha antenna packed up, and then over here is the tool bag fully loaded, and I'll show you some of what might go in here. One is the won't fit there, unfortunately, but it will fit up here, is a tablet computer. It's got a keyboard, 9-inch screen, and it runs off 5-volt USB. This is actually a folding solar panel. I forget what the amperage is, but you can lay that out. And you have 8 cells there. But again, I forget what the amperage is. These little hooks are designed so you can strap it onto something, and it just collapses down. And in there I have the manual. I could throw pens, paper, any kind of thing you think you might need within the field. That fits in there perfectly. I was spending some time trying to find like a backpack or something that would work. I just could not find anything. Like I said, I'd probably get in the previous video, I'd probably hook up something just to keep the can. This is the head unit. I'd tuck that in there, and then I can zipper. Well, hopefully I can clip this onto the last one. My camera exited when I paused. But KB3 DFZ again. This is everything packed up and ready to be carried off. It's a little bit tight when you have the antenna and everything in there, and that is like a 2-hand carry, I should say. I'll have to weigh that and see what the total weight is altogether. Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, if you had to carry everything, including the antenna, that would be what it would look like. Oh, you see here, I did not do any switches on here, but if I want to absolutely be 100% sure, I can just disconnect the input, and that would make sure the radio is not running. There is a button on the charge controller that would let me turn it off completely. And the mount is facing upwards, and I tuck the microphone and everything into the bag. I probably, in most cases, would not carry both the solar charge controller and the antenna, but that option is available to me. I think most times I would be using this would be for a day trip. If I go into a building, I'll probably be plugging in, or I might have a generator I can use. If I'm in the field, I almost certainly I could utilize the car, my generator, which is the Prius. But I do have the solar panel option, which should keep me floating. And other things I thought about putting in there would be a handheld, or I could put a handheld radio, or log books. You can put a lot of things in there, especially. But if you put too much in, of course, you would not be able to cram everything into this. And, worst case, you take that out, you can put a good bit more in there, and you can just carry this bag separately. It even has some little hooks there. When I was first designing this, I had an idea of putting this on the side, putting like some straps there to hook it on the side. Or I was thinking about putting a pouch on the side for the solar panel, and I may still do that, but I think this setup here will work great. I do want to refinish some of the exterior wood. It got some paint and like drywall mud on it. I'm not sure how. But all in all, I think that's a pretty good design. Not as durable as a metal case, but not as expensive and a lot easier to customize. KB3 DFZ, and I'll be clear.